Once again, it appears that the Denver Nuggets are disappointing their fans. We're going to talk about a really tough loss, following up a different tough loss. We're going to talk about Cam Johnson and what he's going through. And do you believe in the Denver Nuggets now on this latest episode of Locked On Nuggets?
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, parts of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for tuning into tonight's episode and being an everydayer, making us your first listen on this episode. We're going to have some commiserations for sure. A Nuggets loss to a tough divisional opponent is never fun. We're going to talk about it here. Will be very, very interesting. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into an even bigger potential win with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Head on over to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. My name is Ryan Blackburn, host here at Locked On Nuggets, also over at Mile High Sports and the Pickaxe and Roll podcast. He is Matt Moore of the Denver Dig, the Action Network, Hardwood Paroxysm, the Action Network live shows that have been going on these Sunday nights and several nights throughout the week. Make sure to check out all of Matt's content, also all of our content for the Everydayer Club. I'll tell you guys a little bit more about that at the beginning of the second segment. We've got some fun things coming. Okay, Matt, we were both there today. We were both in the building for what was ultimately a pretty disappointing loss. The Nuggets jumped out to a 31-22 start. And as David Adelman let me know in the postgame, he didn't think that the matinee start was the problem, but it still slipped away in the second quarter regardless. He called that stretch at the second quarter inexcusable. How would you categorize this game? Was this an inexcusable game? Are there any such things as inexcusable games in the regular season? How do you think Nuggets fans should feel here?
There are some. We've talked about him before. I think he was specifically referring to the second quarter, right?
Yeah, with that 2-minute stretch, especially after it happened last game.
And this is like an interesting thing where it's hard not to talk broadly and like almost existentially about the Nuggets right now. But one thing that's kind of been commented on is that when they lose, there's kind of an assumption that like they're just not trying, and like that's not the case here. Like I think it's actually maybe more worrisome is like I think their effort level has been pretty good this year. I think you can point to a handful of games, the Bulls game, the Kings game. When they lose to an inferior opponent, that's usually an effort problem, right? I don't think the effort has really been terrible, and I didn't think the effort was bad today. I actually thought their defensive effort in pretty much every game since coming back from the break has been very high, which I was not expecting. Like they've legitimately like put a lot of energy and effort into that side. And the problem is like they had always kind of been built on the premise that the offense was going to run itself. And they still were like that today. They were like, well, we know we could score. And I'm kind of like, you had a 106.9 offensive rating. So I don't know if you can, if you're going to try on defense. Like, and you know, their defensive rating was 117, which isn't good, but it was only that way until that late run. Like they hung in there to the end and then they just got away from them. And Joker, I think, kind of pointed out after the game, I thought some notable things. They would get stop and they would get stop and not score. And they would get stop and not score. And they would get stop and then not score. And then the Wolves would get a turnover and score. And then the Nuggets would miss. And then it's another bucket. And it's just like they couldn't string together anything.
Yeah.
I don't find this loss to be inexcusable on the surface of it's more disappointing and just a huge bummer than it is, I think, inexcusable. Inexcusable is you should be better than this and you're not. And right now, they're not. This is not a good basketball team. It has not been a good basketball team since the break. And honestly, since February 18th, when they're slightly under 500, it hasn't been good for 2 months now. Like this has not been a good basketball team for 2 months for a number of reasons. I think they found ways to win in January. Like I can't sit here and like kill them for January. They went 10-6 and they found wins, but it's not like they played awesome. They couldn't. They couldn't. They didn't have anybody.
They gut out some clutch wins.
Yeah.
They dug deep in these situations, but they strung together those possessions in a timely manner in a way that you're talking about that they haven't done lately and certainly didn't do today. You're 100% correct in that. Murray said the same thing, is that they would have these moments where like they would get a stop and then commit a turnover, or get a stop and then take a bad shot. And then like, every single time, and I actually noted this in my post-game recap, the T-Wolves had 14 turnovers and the Nuggets scored 11 points off of those turnovers. The Nuggets had 14 turnovers and the T-Wolves scored 22. There's your margin. There's your margin right there in terms of, hey, these teams made the same amount of mistakes and ultimately one team paid those off.
But this is one of the things I think that's really frustrating, is like they haven't necessarily been horrendous in turnovers the entire season or in all these losses. This is one of the things I think is really tough, is like it's just been something different every night.
Yeah.
You know, like, 100%. They've been like a really good shooting team. Nope, they went 6 of 22 from 3 today.
22 attempts.
But also 6 makes. Like we were walking out and talked about this. You can take 22 shots if you make 15 of them, and you can make 6 of them. Well, you can't really do that.
Yeah, like, that's pretty tough.
You can make 12 of them if you take 44 of them, but you can't do both. Well, and you know, and so it's like it's always something with this team. There are concurrent issues. This was a pretty standard Nuggets loss in the Nikola Jokic era. This is, and it's funny because like in sports, these cliches, and like I got told this when I played sports, like we win as a team, we lose as a team. Not in the NBA among fandom. No, because like what I think a lot of people, if you're gonna lose, you want it like this, which is like Joker didn't lose today. Joker was awesome. You're not gonna hear a single complaint from me on this podcast about Nikola Jokic. I paid very close attention to how he was in coverage. Even when he got beat by Anthony Edwards when he was playing at level, it was because Anthony Edwards got the edge, because Anthony Edwards is incredibly athletic. And even then, Joker made requisite efforts to try and contain. Like Joker's defensive effort today was phenomenal, and he had 35 points, and he had 13 assists, and he had or 13 rebounds, and he had 9 assists on a night when they didn't shoot at all. So it's like Joker played awesome. He was a +4. The loss is not on him. It was a very rote, very typical, very historically predictable, this is what the Nuggets are every year. Jokic is awesome and nobody else showed up for him. There hasn't been a lot of games like that this year. But
I was just going to say that it hasn't really been the story to me for much of this season. And yet it may have been the story tonight. And it sucks. Like we're kind of back to this place where we have to talk about the second unit and the things that flip in that portion. There's been several mentions of the bench. There's been several, and shockingly so, several mentions of the second unit in which, look, the lineup that was out there at the beginning of the second quarter when the game flipped was Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway, Cam Johnson, Zeke Naji, and Jonas Valanciunas. I did not think it was a good lineup. I did not think it was a good decision. I understand going with a defensive guy and somebody that you're trying to play with a little bit higher effort and size. If you're going to go with that situation, I'd probably just go with Jalen Pickett. But look, it's when you are missing Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson and Spencer Jones, sometimes you're going to play some bad lineups. Everybody and their mother's been complaining about Denver not playing their power forwards, and they finally played a power forward today at the second unit, and boy, did it not go well. It did not go well at all.
You know, Val's playing really bad right now. Don't worry. We're going to tee off on Cam Johnson like everyone wants in the second quarter. It's coming. I promise that's coming, guys. But like Val's struggled, but I try and stay consistent with the things that I say, which is like you have like veterans have good and bad months, like NBA players have good and bad months. And I think Val's having everyone's having a bad February on the Nuggets, but Val in particular is having a really bad month. There was times when he was great early in the season. Yeah. And he just hasn't, he's been look at this, plus 3.3 in January, minus 2.8. This is just raw point diff.
Sure.
In December, that's totally fine. Minus 0.7 in November, totally good. Minus 3.1 in February, and then minus 15 today. So it's like there's like a little bit of a slide here. It's gotten worse. And I understand the skepticism about him, but it's also just look, he's the backup center. He will probably have some good games in March. It's not like we talked about like him playing in the playoffs, and they've been playing nothing but playoff teams. They've played, and I will say this, they've played playoff teams that have come at their neck. Like Finch after the game today talked about it. Like we lost 0-3 to this team, and we were really frustrated on Christmas.
Yeah.
Like they predictably brought the house today. And in those games, Val's going to look way worse. You brought in Val to be an innings eater. You brought in Val to like,
and yet he hasn't 8 innings this season.
He has for the most part for the year.
I still think that Joker's minutes are going to be too high, and there just haven't been enough games where Val's actually playing 15 minutes or 16 minutes or 18 minutes because he's been that good that you have to keep him on the floor. Like every single time you're turning around and waiting for Joker to come back in lately, and it's like. And Joker hasn't even been that awesome for much of the stretch.
Again, you're saying lately. That's a recency bias. Like we can admit that he's had good stretches this season, Ryan.
Yeah, no, it's just been a while. Like
he was averaging. He averaged 13.8 points in he played 4 games, but he was averaging 14 in January. Like he did. Like he has done the job that he was tasked with doing, and he's gotten caught in these games in the last couple of games when they faced elite level opponents where he is not playable. And that's a reality, but also it's just like, look, if you want a backup who can, is going to give you positive production and contributions and be a plus, then you're going to need to spend less money in the starting unit and go pay somebody to be a really good backup center for more money. That's just what you're going to have to do.
Yeah, but that was the theory in getting Val.
Was it?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. No, we knew who he was, Ryan. Come on.
I knew who he was. But that was not common consensus. Like you've got people saying Val could start on teams. Val's a starter. He's a starting caliber player.
He is a starting caliber player. Like he would start on a lot of teams in the NBA, Ryan. He would just lose his minutes.
Well, I rest my case, I guess. That's like, I think that's unfortunate, but like, I don't know. I'm not going to kill him. He does like, he's not
just murdered him on live YouTube.
No. Look, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll have the Cam Johnson conversation. Like we got to talk about Cam. Everybody wants us to talk about Cam. We're going to talk about Cam, and we'll there's some defense that needs to happen here, but also some understandable concern. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets.
I have to find the button. I didn't find the button.
Uh-oh.
There's the button.
All right, folks. Don't want to make much light of the mental health situation with a whole bunch of Nuggets fans crashing out right now. March is a time right now, especially in a world and in a situation where you just need to find your own strength. You need to find your own peace. And the best way to do that, the best way to find your own emotional well-being can be therapy. There's a lot of ways to balance expectations, to support those around you, and to get the support that you need. Betterhelp is going to help you do that. They support you, and therapy can help create balance and offer a space to focus on yourself. With over 30,000 licensed therapists and more than 6 million people served worldwide, BetterHelp makes getting started simple. You fill out a short questionnaire, they match you with a licensed therapist, and if it's not the right fit, you can switch at any time. Your emotional well-being matters. Find support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. All right, we are back. Locked On Nuggets, thank you so much for tuning into the show. Folks, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. Also wanted to tell you a little bit about Everydayer Club. We've had so many great interactions in the Discord. The ad-free episodes are always great for folks. And we're also going to be introducing some extra stuff in Everydayer Club for this month. I know that tomorrow I'm going to be doing an audio episode only on Everyday. That's going to be released through the lockedonnuggets.supercast.com. Is the only place you're going to be able to get it is if you subscribe to Supercast. And I'm going to have probably a more in-depth lineup conversation ahead of this Utah game, but also I'm going to go ahead and guess that we're getting some Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson positive news over the course of these next couple of days. That might even happen tomorrow. So I'm going to try to get people prepared, get people excited for what happens to the rotation, what happens to everything when that does ultimately happen. But ultimately, you got to click on the link, lockedonnuggets.supercast.com, if you want to find out. Okay, Matt, Cam Johnson's had a rough one. He's had a rough one over the course of these past couple games. And we came to know why in some ways. And when he had to leave the game with ankle soreness, he was probable on the injury report at the beginning of this game with an ankle issue, and said after the game that it's doubtful that he's probably not, or it's at least uncertain that he's going to play tomorrow. Nuggets fans want us to go off about Cam Johnson, and yet you and I are both at the arena and understand what goes into just making yourself available to play and how painful it can be. I'm not going to throw myself in front of Cam Johnson here, but I also understand that this needs a little bit more context, I think, than people are willing to give.
Yeah, I don't know what to do here, because if you defend him, then people think I don't know what the point is to do this. What can we, I like the show to be about what can you learn about the Nuggets? How can we talk about them? What kind of things can we understand and do these types of things? But people just want to kill him. That's all people really want here, is they just want to feel I guess accountable, right? Cam Johnson is the superstar that gets to skate by. So instead of focusing on today, this was his worst game of the season. And it's is it possible that the ankles were bad? Yeah. There's a point from someone in the comments, which is, I always say, if you play, we have to judge you.
Yeah, true.
Cam hasn't been a fit, and that kills me, because I think Cam Johnson I think he's a good player. I think he's a smart player. He makes plays the way that you want players to make. He's a professional. He comes prepared. He does his work. He gives a high level of effort on every play. He just hasn't been good. He hasn't been a fit in Denver. And it would be fine if he was like Michael Porter Jr. and literally didn't know what was happening most of the time or where he was. But if you threw him the ball, he could throw it in the air and it would go in. And it would be fine if it was he was a dog and throwing himself across the ground and making a bunch of plays. You could do that, but he hasn't been either. He just hasn't the impact numbers are there. They've been good with him on the court, but there's no way to justify the idea that he has been a significant contributor to that this season. He's had a miserable season. He has not felt comfortable. He has not been engaged. Tim Hardaway Jr. was asked after the game by Katie Wingy, what do you say to Cam when he's going through these struggles, as well as trying to, play through the kind of pain that he's going through? And Tim was like, everybody's dealing with something. And I was like, oh no. oh no. He was like, everybody's got something. Everybody's banged up. And that's not a good sign.
Not a ringing endorsement of Cam's issues.
I started noting in December that the chemistry between Jokic and Cam seemed weird. And I haven't seen it blow up about that lately. Jokic hasn't demonstrably been frustrated with Cam in quite a while. I do think that the coaching staff feels very differently than everyone else does about how Cam's playing. And you could say that's because they're dumb, but I don't tend to think that about David Adelman or most NBA coaches, because I have respect for people that do this at this level. But Cam hasn't made shots, and he needs to make shots. And if he's not going to make shots, he needs to make plays, and he hasn't made plays, and he hasn't grabbed rebounds, and he hasn't blocked shots, and he hasn't gotten great stops. I thought his defensive effort was really good today, made a lot of rotations. No one's going to notice that. No one's going to care.
He did so more early than Naz Reid got going a little bit off of him in the second half, for sure. There's stuff in transition, there's stuff off of rotation that he just wasn't able to keep up with. And you're right. There were plays that people are just not going to notice. I thought he played a pretty good first quarter, just wasn't making shots. And it just never got better from there. And we have context why, I think.
He's just now getting the reputation that I think is a brutally unfair. And it is so unfair to call any NBA player weak for how hard it is to make it to this level. But there's no way to get around it. That's how it feels to people watching him. The comments are filled with that, is weak. And somebody's saying Bones got him twice. Yeah, Bones is going to get some guys because they're having to rotate constantly because of the kind of scheme the Nuggets run. Don't start that. Cam was bad. He's been bad. He needs to do more. He hasn't done enough. The trade is a failure. they'd be better with MPJ and DeAndre Jordan, I guess.
They might be. In theory, they might. I don't know if they're going to be like, well, because here's the thing.
I hear you.
They have struggled with the second unit, although it has not been like I will admit that like the -2 or -3 that Jonas has been, like I think the net rating for the two mans was like -5. Like it with DJ it was -8. It was -10. Like you're getting something better from that. So the money that you did save in that deal was big, but was it enough? Like in terms of like the net rating with Jokic and MPJ on the floor at the same time was like +15 last year. There's still like they still had a pretty high peak, and there's an argument that all you have to do is just be smart and be consistent, and that's relatively replacement level for a starter at that NBA small forward position.
Matt acting like MPJ in no way could have been better than Cam in Denver this year is incredibly intellectually dishonest. You know me.
He didn't say intellectually.
Intellectually, incredibly dishonest. Okay. MPJ would have been an MVP level player, guys. He would have been an all-star if he was with this squad this year.
No, I mean, look, I know this conversation definitely frustrates you. It's and I understand why, because Cam, like, he does his role and does not try to step outside the lines, and has like fought really hard in a lot of these situations, and has been part of some really positive lineups for Denver, especially with that second unit. Now we are kind of at this point post All-Star break where like Aaron's been out for a long time, Peyton's been out for a long time. People have seen those guys like step up in these moments, and like there is something tangible about stepping up and being firm and being just like there and present and like and
unless you're Lou Dort, and then you need to be banned from the sport.
Yeah, like and so here's no comment. Cam is look, would Michael Porter have done better? I don't know. Like
probably, like he would have hit shots, and that's all you really need. Like he just would have hit shots. And here's the thing: it doesn't really like the numbers are the same whether Cam's not hitting shots or Mike was hitting shots, right? So it doesn't really matter. But people would feel better about it because they'd be like, MPJ was awesome. He hit all those shooty hoops. That's so amazing, and like they would feel better about it. I thought, there's these things that Cam I think can do, and I will say like. There is the mental side of this to me is from the beginning of this season, he doesn't want to screw up. He doesn't want to screw up this opportunity. He doesn't want to screw up a contender. He doesn't want to screw up a unit that knows how to play together. Those four guys have so many reps, right? And Mike was part of that for so long. Think about how much Mike, Aaron, Jamal, and Yoke played together.
Played probably like 8,000 minutes together.
Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. But the difference is just in the NBA, you don't get to like, no one's going to be like, hey, we'll get you acclimated. It'll be all right. No one's going to do that for you. They're just going to be like, go make plays or get out. And he hasn't made plays. He hasn't made shots and he hasn't made plays. And it's been a disappointment. And it's been being reflected as a bad trade that they should have never have made.
So let me wrap up with this. David Adelman said post-game that he's their starting small forward. And I don't think that this one game is going to change that. I don't think anything's really going to change that. But when everybody is back healthy, Peyton Watson's going to go back to the bench. Aaron Gordon is the power forward and Cam Johnson is the small forward. My question to you, what is it going to take for that to change? Or is there a way that this kind of recovers itself?
I mean, there's a million ways this can recover. Like, I'm sorry, but mistakes, everybody's in there is like thinks that somebody was saying like playing cautious is worse than playing is worse. It's not. In the NBA, mistakes kill you. That's how you lose is mistakes. It's when you make mistakes and then your teammates don't trust you and then everything breaks down.
It's literally what Jokic and Murray said today was the problem.
And so like he finds his shooting stroke, comes back, has a game where he plays well, gets more active, brings it in a playoff series, it can completely turn around. This whole thing can completely turn around, and I will have my revenge if that happens. The way it can change, I think, is more matchup based. Like I would not be surprised if we get to a point where he starts Peyton, just because if it's like if Cam can't match up in the playoff series, which is entirely possible, then you can do that to, I think, Cam Johnson easier than you can do that to Michael Porter Jr. I just think that the dynamics are different. I think Cam will be like, that sucks. Okay. I still want to help the team win, versus I do not think MPJ would respond like that. Like, they worried about that. They worried a lot about like what it would do if they benched Mike in a series. They worried a lot about it. So that's part of the dynamic too. There's ways it can turn around, but he's got to make shots. He's got to play better. He's got to get everybody back on his side.
We will see what happens. Let's take a break. When we come back, we are going to wrap up with, are the Nuggets actually cooked? Because the chat seems to think so. We'll be right back here on Locked On Nuggets. College basketball is nonstop, folks. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night, from early tip-offs to late night West Coast shootouts. There's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into an even bigger potential win with college basketball parlay profit boost. That's a mouthful. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your read. You can mix spreads, totals, player props, and match how you want to see the slate being played out. Look at the odds around your team. This is going to be a really, really interesting matchup. Like, I know CU has been on a little bit of a schneid lately, but if you are interested in popping back in there, I'm sure that there are some pretty good odds to go. Head on over to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. We're also brought to you today by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inboxes overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people that fit what you're looking for with their skills, their experience, their location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all of those boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listeners to the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job get the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hire? It's a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. All right. Final segment, Locked On Nuggets. Thank you for tuning into the show. Okay, Matt. Are the Nuggets cooked? The momentum is sliding. It doesn't feel like it's going their way. Is this just not their season? It feels like there are so many things pulling at and against the Nuggets right now. This is not how a champion usually looks coming out of the All-Star break.
I don't know about that. Do we have a record of that? Like, do you have
That's an anecdotal thing, but it's certainly not how the Nuggets looked when they came out of the All-Star break the last time they won a title.
I'm beaten today. I am defeated by the comments and by Twitter and by everything. I am defeated. And it seems like the more that I've tried to be like the level-headed person, the worse it's gotten this year. Like, that's what I feel like, Ryan, is I feel like I've like continuously been like, this team is good. Look at their record. Look at their performance. You have every reason to believe in this team. And the more I've done that, the worse it's gotten. So it's just like, I have to look stupid. So here we go. They don't have it. They don't have it. This team has faced too much adversity and it just hit them too much and they don't have it. They don't have enough. Whatever it is, they don't have it. I think I'm really curious. Nicola's been on this, like, we'll see. Every time they've asked him about his confidence level or what they can accomplish, the last 3 years, he has done this, like, we'll see, as if there is nothing to be done about him being like, we can do this. Like, I believe in our guys. And
I've asked him that question before, and he has been like, yes, I am confident in our team. Like, it just kind of depends on what he's feeling, how he's feeling at specific situations. But maybe the team does just need that proclamation of, hey, their best player is like fully confident in the group. And maybe he isn't doing it for a reason. Maybe he will do it at some point. We don't know.
Nuggets fans don't believe in David Adelman right now. They don't believe in at least Cam Johnson, if not Cam Johnson and Christian Brown. Jamal has struggled since he got named an all-star.
He's becoming public enemy number at least 2 at this point.
Val is obviously like, by the way, I looked this up. He has 23 games where his plus minus was -1 or better, which that's like acceptable, right? And 24 games where it was worse. So it's basically dead even.
Okay. So even on good enough and even on not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know, I don't think anybody has any confidence in this team right now because they just look lost. They don't feel like they have any sort of thing to any impetus to get past it, even though I think the effort has been okay. That's like really concerning. And the other thing that I want to talk about, you know, we keep doing when they get healthy, you can't, man. I will tell you that you can't. They got to turn this around before Aaron gets back. Aaron cannot be expected to come in and fix everything.
Yeah.
Aaron can't make all the rotations. Aaron can't keep them from turning the ball over. Aaron can't make open corner threes. Aaron can't, you know, make every single help side defense. Aaron can't guard every elite perimeter player. Aaron's great. And P-Watt has been awesome this year. Watson's been great. And they will help. They will make this team better. And everyone will fit better into the roles that they were supposed to play in. They will be better with those guys, but they can't fix it. They have to fix it as a group. Like they have to fix it as a team. This has to be a collective team effort of figuring out what this problem is and getting there. I said this during the game today, and this is really how I feel, is like they need a moment, man. They need something to spark them. And it's like, you know, you can't sit there and be like, they no-show. They're not getting blown out in these games. They were there in OKC, but it's like, it's not enough. Like, you're supposed to be a contender. You're supposed to go, if you're having a bad year, it's supposed to be like, oh, you had a lot of opportunities and you won some, but you missed a lot of them. And instead it feels like they've missed almost all of them, except for like stuff like the Sixers and Celtics win on the road, which was like crazy letdown universe. They haven't had a moment. And I want to believe in what this team is capable of, because this team, to start the year, again, that team was incredible. And you want to believe that they can get back to that. But I just wonder if the adversity has been too much and they don't have the mental side of it to push past this, because they've made too many runs too often together. Whatever it is, this group doesn't seem to have it. And I am extremely frustrated that I have been beaten into submission here of being a doomer after I've tried to be like,
welcome
the perspective all year. That's the whole point though, is it's like with you, I feel like I've got to lift you. I got to lift and I'm out. Like, okay, they're cooked. They're going to lose, I guess. I don't think the first round is likely, because it's like, all right, I still think they finish 4-5 at worst. I still think they can get the third. I don't think they fall to 6. If they do, okay, I guess they could lose in a 3-6 to Minnesota, but they have played that team really well this year outside of today. I think they probably make the second round, and then maybe, you know, like
if they're in the 3-6, and they'll face San Antonio.
And San Antonio did not exactly look awesome today. And like, I think there's a lot of concerns. There's a lot of things that I think can happen between now and when we get to May. That's just like, we're just still so long away from it. But from where we're at right now, if you want to react in the moment, I don't know what to do, because they've lost games where Joker's been bad. They've lost games when Jamal's been bad. They've lost games when Cam's been bad. They lost games when Christian was bad. They lost games when AG was, and that's going to happen in the course of a regular season, but it just feels like they have no sustainable momentum. They cannot turn the tide. It just feels like they've been slowly sinking into the muck, like never ending story. And I don't know what to do except just kind of be like, yep, I guess they're sunk. So I'm out of like, you know, and it's one of those where if they had won more games early, if they hadn't had blown so many opportunities, it would have been like, yeah, they had a bad week. They faced a lot of really good teams. That happens. Like losing Thunder, Minnesota is not crazy. That's not crazy.
Not in a vacuum, but when you lose all the games that they did, and even then it's like, okay, they're 37-24 now. Like, it's not that bad, but it's still bad enough that it's now causing you to potentially fall out of home court contention in the Western Conference.
The other thing I'll say, I want to talk about this comment from Fernando, who says, should it be time to blow it up? He says, I really don't think so. If they ever trade Jamal or Nikola, I fear they become the Kings, Jazz, or Hornets for the next 10 to 15 years. Like, this is kind of the thing, is like, you're not going to trade Nikola unless he says he wants out, right? And like, I don't want to have that conversation yet. I do not have in my recollection a team that took one central superstar and then completely rebuilt the team around him. The Mavericks changed a ton, but they still had Dirk and Jet. They still had that pairing. So I don't have like a recollection of any other team where it's like you have the one superstar and then you bring in like a whole new crew. I don't think you can do that. I just don't think you can, especially with the CBA. So it's I just keep kind of being like, come back to things, which is like they got to play better. Everyone's wanted buyout guys. I'm like, the buyout guy's not going to make any difference. Even if Chris had gotten out, Chris wasn't going to change this.
Yeah,
Chris
it was they needed the guy like 3 months ago.
Not even then. I don't think it makes a difference. Everyone's got to play better.
I mean, just from an injury perspective.
Yeah, but they got to play better now.
That's no excuse now. Like it's about the guys that are in your locker room. Like you're not going to be saved. So Matt, I'll be curious. I will be curious what they ultimately do, how it's going to look. They have a game tomorrow night, Monday night. If you're listening, it will be tonight against the Utah Jazz. Then they've got a couple days off. And then listen to this next 7 games. Lakers, Knicks, Thunder, Rockets, Spurs, Lakers, Sixers.
0-11. They're never winning again, Ryan.
They played 7 games and went 0-11. That's pretty impressive. You're
never winning
on your doomerism.
They're never winning again. That's why I get told a lot. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, look, it's gonna have to dig it out at some point.
What do you think happens? I want to ask you because you are the doom of boom and gloom. What do you think happens?
I think that when Aaron and Peyton come back, everything stabilizes. I don't think it gets amazing, but I do think it stabilizes where it feels like Denver's kind of in a slowly ebbing, like they're a barrel that's got a hole in it right now that is leaking water. Those guys plug up the hole. They're not going to repair the barrel, but like they're going to plug the hole for a little bit, and we're going to see what ultimately happens and whether Denver can find this next gear, because they're not at that gear yet that a true NBA team, like an NBA elite team, has to be on a consistent basis. But they did show some of those tendencies against OKC. People need to get this game out of their heads and remember that OKC game and how amazing they looked for a while in that game. I do think that they will recover that over the course of the final month. Is it going to be enough to win a championship? No, it is not going to be enough to win a championship, but they will play better, and that might even push them into the Western Conference Finals. We'll see what happens, but I don't think this group, as currently constructed with the injuries that they've already had and the holes that we've already seen, is going to get through 4 playoff rounds. I think they could get through 2. I don't know if they can get through 4.
That's fair. That's probably a very sharp analytical way to look at it. I think that's probably the most accurate analysis you can provide right now.
Mr. Doom and Gloom himself. He's he bringing the gas. Let's go. Okay, folks, I think we all have to take a breath. I think we all have to take a little bit of a step back. Hopefully Denver can beat up on Utah tomorrow. If they don't beat up on Utah, that's an issue. But like they have an opportunity to right a wrong, and then they've got a couple of days off after that. So we'll be able to take a step back, relax, and we will see where it goes from here. That is it for this episode of Locked On Nuggets. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Make sure to check out Every Dare Club. I've got some additional thoughts that I'm going to post audio form on lockedonnuggets.supercast.com. Go check out that link in the description. Everybody, have a great night. Appreciate the love and support on the podcast as always. We'll talk to you guys very soon.